Hi, this is Brian Kim. I'm going to share with you this patient that was referred to me with 4 plus corneal edema and haze. What's interesting is this patient is still phakic, and so we're not entirely sure what happened to this patient. He's from outside of the country and he doesn't recall any particular injury or any cause of the edema. His other eye is normal. And to complicate matters, the patient has an insurance which will not allow us to do his corneal transplant and cataract surgery at the same time. And so I elected to do his cataract surgery first, and we'll plan to do a endothelial keratoplasty at a later time. Purpose of this video is to show you how I'm able to use mechanical fracturing, double chop, and cross chop, and being able to do safe cataract surgery in this dense lens, very cloudy and compromised cornea. And you'll be able to see how I'm able to systematically disassemble this lens safely and confidently without any complications. So you can see how cloudy this cornea is. We're going to skip several steps and go straight to the trypan blue. I'm injecting some intracameral air, and then I'm injecting the dye, but I'm painting the dye on the surface of the anterior lens capsule rather than flooding the eye with the trypan blue. And I'm rolling the dye on the anterior lens capsule like a paint roller. And I'm carefully now injecting some dispersive viscoelastic, trying to direct the bubble out of the eye. I'm going to put a dollop of dispersive viscoelastic on the surface of the cornea, which will hopefully help my view. Alternatively, I could have removed the epithelium, but I didn't want to cause any epitheliopathy in this already compromised cornea. So I put the dispersive viscoelastic on the cornea instead. I begin my puncture style capsulorhexis. I do a puncture, pull it downward. And I'm trying to be very careful going around circumferentially. Again, because of the compromised view, it's a little bit of a challenge to do this. And I'm grabbing and re-grabbing. Do capsular fornix hydrodissection technique, going out contra-incisionally, down to the capsular fornix, point the tip down, get a nice fluid wave decompress on the left side, and then I'm going on the right side, pointing the tip downward, and the lens spins nicely. Lifting the incision with the chopper, going in with irrigation off, put some more viscoelastic on the cornea, and then begin the cataract surgery. I'm going to remove the surface epinuclear material, go out with the chopper into the capsular equator, point it downward, pointing the phaco tip vertically, subincisionally, bring both instruments together, and crush the lens. Because of the compromised view, I'm not being as aggressive with my maneuvers, and so I'm going to be very careful, making sure I don't grab the anterior lens capsule, making sure I'm not too deep when I'm making the chop maneuvers. And if I don't get a piece very easily, I'm just going to a different place and then doing the chop maneuver again. I think I got a pretty decent chop right there. I'm going to chop it again, placing the chopper out to the equator, bring the chopper towards the phaco tip. None of the pieces are coming out easily right now. Place the chopper around the lens piece once again, supporting it and then using some vacuum to try to pull that piece up, but it doesn't really want to come easily. Again, I'm not trying to perseverate. You want to be very controlled, very safe, very smooth. Finally, that one piece does come out of the bag. I'm placing the chopper out again, and I'm able to cause another fragment to come up out of the bag. I'm turning that second heminucleus in front of me, placing the chopper out to the equator, once again, placing the phaco tip deep, crushing that heminucleus in half, bringing one of the pieces up, using some high vacuum, and then crushing it with the chopper against the phaco tip. Because the view is quite compromised, I can't really see the posterior capsule very well. You can see there's really no red reflex. So trying to do sculpting maneuvers in this situation would be near impossible because you cannot really gauge the depth of your instruments. You can't gauge the depth of your sculpting, and you can't really see the posterior capsule. I'm placing the chopper out to the equator again, crushing it against the phaco tip. And doing these maneuvers in a compromised cornea is very safe because you don't need some of these visual cues when you're doing cataract surgery. Other techniques require quite a bit of visual cues to disassemble the lens, whether it's a good red reflex, whether it's a good view. With this technique, because you're essentially doing these maneuvers purely based on crushing forces, as long as you know where your instruments are, this is a very safe technique. You can confidently disassemble the lens when the view is not very good in this situation. And another very, very important point in this video is when you have a compromised cornea like this, whenever you are emulsifying or using high vacuum, I always keep my second instrument deep to the phaco tip so that I protect the posterior capsule. This is really the most important step. Whenever you're removing the lens material, you need to have that chopper protecting the bag. And so now the entire endonucleus is removed. I'm going to try to remove the epinuclear shell, grabbing the anterior edge of it. It's not coming out very easily, so I'm just, again, taking my time. I'm using the chopper now to lift that portion of the epinucleus. And by pulling it up, I'm able to loosen up the epinucleus, which is inside the capsular bag. So lo and behold, the epinucleus begins to come freely. I'm trying to do this very carefully and systematically. I'm keeping the chopper deep to the phaco tip so that it protects the posterior capsule. I take the chopper out, push BSS, and then take the phaco tip out, and then I'm going in with the INA. And you can see here, the view is really not very good. I'm going to start subincisionally, try to remove the cortical material. The polymer tip is really a game changer in these situations because even if you snag the posterior capsule, the polymer tip will protect it from rupturing. I'm starting subincisionally, and again, even though the view is poor, I'm able to go around and through auditory cues, I know that I have occlusion, and I'm grabbing the capsule, going to the left side now, sweeping underneath the anterior capsular rhexis edge. You can see the cortex is starting to come out. And a lot of the surgery, disassembling the lens and doing the INA, is really more by feel than by view. You know where the instrument needs to be. In this case, I'm going underneath the anterior capsular rhexis edge. And so by going very ginger on the vacuum and controlling it, I'm able to make sure that I can't cause a complication in doing it this manner. Again, pedal control with the vacuum is very important during this step. I'm pushing BSS into the eye now, and then I'm injecting some cohesive viscoelastic to fill the bag. I'm going to widen my incision. I'm going to inject the 3-piece intraocular lens in the capsular bag. I prefer a 3-piece lens when I know I'm going to be doing an endothelial keratoplasty because when I have to place the tissue into the eye, the chamber collapses. And I feel like the 3-piece lens provides more capsular support because of the rigid 3-piece haptics. So the leading haptic is in, and I'm pushing the trailing haptic in with the Maltzman instrument. And then I start to remove the viscoelastic. I decided not to go under the lens again because of such a compromised view, but you saw the viscoelastic tumbled out of the bag when the lens started to jiggle around. I'm pushing BSS, making sure that there's no more viscoelastic in the anterior chamber, flushing the angles. I come out with the INA and I hydrate my incision. So you can see double chop, cross chop, mechanical fracturing, having a good proprioceptive understanding of your hands and where you are getting underneath the anterior lens capsule, crushing the lens pieces, prolapsing the lens pieces out of the bag using the chopper, using a judicious amount of phaco energy, using a vacuum to prolapse pieces out of the bag, and protecting the posterior capsule during all of these maneuvers is really, in my mind, the best way to disassemble the lens in the compromised cornea. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I thank you for your attention.